Equality in this deeply American sense doesn't mean we all get to the same place. The race will have winners and losers, but we should all start out of the blocks at the same time. Talent should win out, but everyone should be able to rise as far as their merit will take them. America doesn't mean equality of outcome, but it does mean equality of opportunity. America doesn't guarantee you a result, but it should guarantee you a fair shot. And whether you succeed or fail or wind up somewhere in between should be up to you. I honestly don't quite know how my parents did it, but growing up in the late 60s and 1970s, it never really occurred to me that my race or my gender would somehow deny me the chance to make my own mark. I grew up with permission to dream, to be whatever I set out to be. That is not something to take for granted. Like President Obama, I'm among the first generation of African Americans whose dreams were not immediately bounded by legalized segregation and institutionalized Jim Crow. The president has spoken of mine and his as the Joshua generation, the generation that came after the Moses generation, of the great civil rights leaders, of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Ralph Abernathy, Dr. Dorothy Height, John Lewis, Thurgood Marshall, and the young Marion Wright Edelman, and so many more. Mine is the generation that did not just see the promised land from a mountaintop, but instead was privileged to cross over Jordan and make our way into a land changed forever by those who came before. Those of us of the Joshua generation have faced hurdles, but they were nothing like the poll tax or the dogs of Birmingham. I still got called the N-word, but it happened rarely enough to be jolting. More typically, my experience entailed being discounted by some of my classmates' parents, who reassured themselves that I got into the top colleges more because of my race than my abilities. Growing up, my generation did indeed clash with the narrow-minded, the intolerant, and the bigoted. But our ability to follow our hearts was not so constrained by the racism that was once carved into the body of American law. And our ability to dream was not as stifled by the psychology of oppression. The journey is not over, but we have come far. Graduates, you will not have it easy, but you will have it better. I know this must feel like a precarious time to leave college. Many of you may not be sure what your first jobs or next steps will be. Most of you surely worry that your ambitions may be shackled by an economy that is still climbing out of a deep hole and that has left far too many people across this country hurting. No one can promise that all will turn out right for each of you, but I can tell you that each of you holds a winning hand. And I can tell you that all of us here are so proud of you. We believe in you, so don't lower your sights. Don't you dare settle for second best. Yes, you'll face obstacles, and yes, these are challenging times. But the plain fact of history is that no generation of African American women has ever had more opportunity than you do. So what we expect of you is not excuses. It is simply put, excellence. So, set high goals. Show some hustle. Stand up for yourselves. Prepare better than anyone else. Learn from everyone else. And when you get knocked down, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back in the game. Get back in the game, because a Spelman woman should come to play. And she should come to compete. And she should compete to win. That's because we need you to make your mark. We need you to become lawyers who will deepen and widen our liberties in an era of change and challenge. We need you to become engineers and scientists who will cure modern-day plagues and save our warming earth. We need you to become business leaders and innovators who will create prosperity that works for all Americans. We need you to become teachers and professors who will instill a love of citizenship and learning in the next generation. We need you to become doctors and ministers who will bring health to wounded bodies and strength to suffering souls. And we need one of you to become the first African American woman president of the United States. But always remember that with greater opportunity comes greater responsibility. All of us who cheer so hard for you also expect you to give back, to continue the legacy of local, national, and global service that is the Spelman way. We are confident that you will all play your part in what President Obama has called a new era of responsibility, that you will embrace your duties to your cities and communities, to your country, and to the world we share. And remember this too: the spirit is not fulfilled by work alone. In this life, we give both our labor and our love. If you're fortunate, you'll find great meaning in your work. But take it from someone who's wound up with a pretty good gig. There's more to life than time in the office, even if that office happens to be oval. So let me conclude with 6 quick personal lessons from my experience. To begin with, put family first.